Hi Floss Tube. Thank you for stopping by to watch my video today. My name is Suzette and I'm subscribed to most of you guys through my other channel, which is Paper, Scissors, Glue, but I decided to start a new channel and keep it primarily for my cross stitching. So again, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this video. Today's video is going to be about my stitching journal, and it's an event that is hosted by the Facebook group Cross Stitch and Discuss, and I wanted to share my journal. I keep two journals. I keep my stitching journal and then I keep my Midori journal, but most of my stitching information is kept in this one, so we'll talk about it first. This is a journal that I was gifted in a swap when I lived in England. And when I decided to use it as a stitching journal, I made some alterations to it. I added the vintage sewing paper to the front, some washi tape, and then I added this elastic closure with the charms. And I think I picked those charms up at Michael's in the $1.50 spot. So let's open it up and see what's inside. I like to use product packaging in my journals, and for this one it just holds my little calendars, and we'll talk more about that later. I also like to use washi tape and some stamping. I started this journal in 2015, and I started at the beginning of the year for my New Year, New Start stitch along, again with Cross Stitch and Discuss. And I take photos of all my projects, but I don't print everything out. It's just when the mood strikes me to print one. I use my Canon selfie printer, and it's not the best photo quality, but it works for what I want it for. So what I include in my journal would be the name of the designer, the name of the project, and my start date, the type of fabric that I use, my finish date, and sometimes what fibers I use, and then maybe just a little bit, I write a little bit about that pattern, why I selected it. So I continued on adding in all my projects for 2015. And on this page, I was organizing my floss, which seems to be an ongoing thing, but I ran across some floss that I had purchased years ago, and I had to laugh because I remember specifically when I purchased this floss, and so I just wrote a little bit about that. I accidentally skipped a page. I'll have to go back and fill that in. I documented, I did join the Crazy 7 in August, and I documented all the things about those 7 projects, which I'm happy to say I've completed 6 of the 7. And again, I just used some of the product packaging, did some stamping. When I include photos, I like to back it with some paper, and then I just write a little bit about where I purchased the pattern, what appealed to me about the pattern, and things like that. So I didn't get a lot of stitching done, or as much stitching as I would have liked to in 2015, because I had a major move. I moved back to the States from England, and that took more time and energy than I had anticipated. So I hope that 2016 is a much better year for stitching. And I started off January with a bang. Even though I didn't join any stitch-alongs, I decided I just wanted to stitch what I wanted to stitch and when I wanted to stitch it. So I had several new starts and finishes. Albeit they were small, but I did that in January. And I also include, like, if I do a, I do a fully finish. Back to the little calendar, I started my first Heaven and Earth design back in February 2015, but because of the move, it kind of got set aside, and I didn't stitch on it again until February 2016. And when I restarted stitching on it, I decided that I wanted to document how many stitches I accomplished each day. So I used the small calendars. I keep this by my little stitchy spot. I just keep it on a small clipboard by my stitchy spot. And at the end of the day, as I highlight, as I'm stitching, when I fill in the 100 stitch squares, I will take a Sharpie and write the date on there, and then I transfer it here to this little calendar, and then at the end of the month I will tally up how many stitches I have completed. So in January I completed 6,300 stitches on that project, and that was the only project that I worked on in the whole of February. And I had this crazy notion that I would only stitch on my Heaven and Earth until it was finished, but I've made changes for this for March. Also, on Leap Day, I decided to do a I use it as a do-over day, and I had joined the Rosewood Manor Stitch Along back earlier in 2015, and I wasn't happy with the fabric that I had selected, and this is the first time I've ever actually restarted a project. And so I used, again, some product packaging, and I just documented why I wanted to restart it and that type of thing. So moving along, my new starts for March, I documented those, and again some more product packaging that I will probably do something with later on, added in. I've just got it clipped in now. But I don't know, maybe I'm weird, I like to keep stuff like that. So the next section of my journal, I have tabbed into 3 sections, and the first section is I wish. And what I do in this one is when I watch your videos and I'm feeling like I need to have that pattern, I will write it down and on sticky notes, and I put it in here, and then when the mood strikes that I want to buy something, I will refer back to this and have another look at it and decide if it is actually something that I want to add to my stash. I also put in non-stitchy items, like Mon Dot Stitches had a great idea of using an ammo box for acrylic storage, and while I don't use a lot of acrylic in my projects, I thought, hey, if I ever do get a collection of them, that would be a great resource to use for storage. So I just put that type of thing in. And the next section is remember, because if I don't write it down, I will forget. This brain is getting old and I can't remember things. So what I like to put in here is just information about where I can find products that I like, and you know, if I'm traveling, I want to visit this site for a shop finder, that type of thing. I also add in business cards from places that I have made purchases so that I can reference back to those easily. And in addition, I wanted to put in the DMC floss changes. I've been stitching for over 30 years, and so I have a lot of older floss colors, and I just, as I'm going through and pulling thread to do a floss toss, so that I know not to mix up the old and the new. And then the last section, tab section, is to make. And in this section, I like to put things like Tricia, the left-handed stitcher's grime guard directions, and I have Pam Reed's PVC laptop stand that I hope to make someday, and then just some random things. So before I organized this book fully, I had stuck this in. It's Lori from Not Forgotten Farms. She does a primitive palette, color palette, so I wanted to add that information in. Then in this section, I just keep packing slips of places that I have ordered things, and that way if something goes wrong with some of the products, I can refer back to it, or if I want to repurchase it, I can know exactly what it was that I purchased. And then here I keep product info like the warranty cards, like the warranty card for my lamp. I keep that in there. So that is my primary stitching journal. Then in my Midori, well, I'll pull out my January, February one that to show you what I did with my Heaven and Earth design. I use this little flag to represent the Heaven and Earth design, and I just, each day I write the number of stitches in that I have there. There's an example, you know, and every day I would fill in how many stitches I did, 400 that day, 200 on this day, that type of thing. But in March, when I started doing more than one project, not only did I continue on with the flag for the Heaven and Earth, but I also started putting in the other projects I'm working on. So like on this day, I did 100 stitches in my Heaven and Earth, and then down here I added a little stamp, and I started Black Willow Farm, and I put 200 stitches into that. I will also sometimes write, you know, just a little bit of information about my starts. So that is how I document my stitching in both my Midori and my actual stitching journal. Some of the products that I like to use, my favorite pen, which I think most of you have, that I've seen, also like this pen. It's the Metropolitan fountain pen, and I love using that. I also like to use a variety of stamps, which I have just purchased, you know, at various places. Some Hobbycraft, Kaisercraft, little, you know, this is Prima. And then I think I got this one free with a magazine that I bought in England, and I love the sewing theme, so I think I bought the magazine just for the stamps. I also love using washi tape, and this is my favorite. And I bought it also in England, and I can't remember which store I bought it at, but there's tons of washi tape suppliers. Just check on Etsy and eBay, and you can probably find something similar to that. Again, thank you for stopping by. I have so enjoyed watching all your videos, and it keeps me company when I'm stitching. And if I have a few minutes here or there, I like to turn on Floss Tube. I don't always comment, but I do always hit that like button. So just know that even though I don't comment, I'm watching you. Sounds a little creepy, but I am watching and I enjoy your videos. So again, thank you for stopping by today, and I hope to be back again with another video maybe in a week or two. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.